Hello students, welcome to my live teaching learning session of BECC 133 Principles of Macroeconomics 1. In this session, we will discuss about first topic of macroeconomics, which is Introduction to Macroeconomics. In this session, we will discuss all the topic which is related with macroeconomics, how macroeconomics introduced in the economy, and what is the subject matter of economics or macroeconomics, and the history of macroeconomics, and we will discuss also the key issues or major issues of macroeconomics and what are the various concepts which is related with macroeconomics and why we study this macroeconomics and how it is different from microeconomics. So in this session, all these topics like definition of macroeconomics, subject matter of macroeconomics, history of macroeconomics, and the major issues of macroeconomics, and the model of circular flow, and the system of macroeconomics, all these topics we will discuss in today's session. So let us start from first topic, that is introduction to macroeconomics. You know that macroeconomics is a branch of economics which deals with whole units of the economy. The whole units, it means if we are study about totality or in aggregates, that is called macroeconomics. Because macro word, this word is derived from Greek language, which means large or big. And in Greek language, its spelling is MAKROS, macros, which means big or large. So macroeconomics deals with whole units of the economy. It deals with aggregates like aggregate demand, aggregate supply, total saving, total investment, national income, theory of employment, interest, money, banking, balance of payment, foreign exchange rate, inflation, etc. All these are the main issues of macroeconomics because it deals with whole units of the economy. So macroeconomics often reflect on the microeconomic principles underlying macroeconomic analysis or the microeconomic foundations of macroeconomics. Microeconomics is a first branch of economics which deals with individual units of the economy. If we are study about small things or individual unit like individual buyer, individual seller, price of single commodity, and if we are studying about only individual units like a firm and an industry, that is the part of microeconomics. But macroeconomics deals with totality or whole or aggregates. So macroeconomics deals with whole units of the economy. Generally, both are interrelated with each other. Microeconomics deals with individual units, macroeconomics deals with whole units of the economy. If we know about one unit or individual unit, then we can get the knowledge about whole. And if we have the knowledge of whole, then we can get about the knowledge of individual unit. So both are interrelated and interconnected with each other. But the main difference is that micro deals with only single unit or individual unit, but macro deals with whole unit or total units of the economy. Now, what is the difference between micro and macro? How we can define this concept of microeconomics and macroeconomics? In microeconomics, it examines the behavior of individual decision-making units like business firms, households, and individual seller, individual buyer. If we are studying about the demand of an individual person, that is the part of microeconomics. But if we are studying about the whole demand, whole country people demand, that will be the part of macroeconomics. So macroeconomics deals with the economy as a whole. It examines the behavior of economic aggregates such as aggregate income, or it can be said that national income, total consumption, total investment, and the overall price level. So all these concepts are related with macroeconomics because it deals with economy as a whole. And aggregate behavior refers to the behavior of all households and firms together. So, microeconomics deals with individual units of the economy, and macroeconomics deals with whole units of the economy. So, both are very useful if we want to know about whole economy, whole world economic activities, then we must have to understand that what is macroeconomics and what are the main issues of macroeconomics and why we study macroeconomics. So this is the definition of micro and macroeconomics. Now next is history of macroeconomics. How this macroeconomics is originated or when macroeconomics introduced. Classical economics applied microeconomic models or market clearing models to economy wide problems. But the failure of classical models to explain the prolonged existence of high unemployment which was existed in 1929 to 1936 or 1933. 1929 to 1933 time period was known as Great Depression period. It was the period at that time worldwide depression occurred in the whole world. So the failure of classical models to explain the prolonged existence of high unemployment during the Great Depression period provided the impetus for the development of macroeconomics. In this Great Depression period, in 1929, USA and United Kingdom was suffering from the problem of unemployment. And you know that unemployment is a very big and serious problem for all over the world people. Because if people are unemployed, it means they are not getting jobs. They are willing to do work. They are able to do work, but they are not getting any job opportunities. It means the country's aggregate output will fall. When production will fall, then income level will also fall. If income falls, then overall standard of living of the country people will also fall. And if overall living standard fall, then economic growth and economic development will also fall. So unemployment is a very serious problem, and at the time of depression during 1929 to 33, at that time USA and UK was suffering from this problem. The main reason of this problem was that in these two main most developed countries, production was higher, aggregate supply was higher, but aggregate demand was lower. Because you know that in UK, first industrial revolution started in United Kingdom. And in UK and USA both are well developed countries. They mainly use capital intensive technology for the production of goods and services. So production level was higher at that time, but the demand of the country people was less. When demand is less and supply is more, then what will happen? The main problem will occur that unsold stock will remain left and producers will discourage to produce more for future. When producer will not produce, then they will not give employment opportunities to the country people. In this case, unemployment problem will arise, and it happens in case of depression period. So when aggregate supply was higher, aggregate demand was lower. In that situation, how this problem can be solved? Classical thinkers gave suggestions that aggregate demand and aggregate supply remains always equal. According to the assumptions of classical economics, they always believed that demand and supply remains always equal. There is no difference between demand and supply because supply creates its own demand. According to J.B. Say, who was the classical economist, according to him, demand always equals to the supply because supply creates its own demand. According to him, whatever amount of quantity produced in the economy, immediately they are sold in the market and consumers' demand will remain always equals to supply of the product. It means when demand and supply remains always equal, then how depression will arise? This problem can't be occur. But the assumption of classical economics that demand and supply remains always equal. If both remains always equal, then how this Great Depression period arise in the economy? So classical thinkers failed to solve this problem. At that time, J.M. Keynes, the full name is John Maynard Keynes. John Maynard Keynes gave the suggestion that if aggregate supply is more than aggregate demand and the unemployment problem which was existed in US and UK, near about 17 to 20% people were unemployed at that time. The solution of this problem given by J.M. Keynes that if supply is more than demand, then first of all, producers the producers stop the production level, and producers will encourage to sell their products in abroad or in other countries. If demand is less in their own country, then you should create demand in all over the world. When demand will arise, when demand will occur, then unsold stock will start to sell. When unsold stock will start to sell, in this case, producers will encourage to produce more. When producers will encourage to produce more, then production will rise, employment opportunities will generate, and unemployment problem will solve. So according to J.M. Keynes, this problem can be solved if supply remains constant and demand increases, then this problem can be solved. So the great contribution in the solution of this Great Depression period given by J.M. Keynes. That's why we can say that John Maynard Keynes is known as the father of macroeconomics. Generally, we know that the father of economics is Adam Smith, who gave the first definition of economics in 1776. And in microeconomics, the great contributor is Marshall. But in macroeconomics, the great contribution is given by J.M. Keynes. And J.M. Keynes published his book in 1936. The name of his book was The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. So J.M. Keynes developed this concept of macroeconomics because J.M. Keynes gave the solution of unemployment problem which existed all over the world. So that's why we say that the father of macroeconomics and the contribution of macroeconomics uh, in the economy is given by J.M. Keynes. So this is the history of macroeconomics. Now next is why we study macroeconomics. What is the reason behind this? Why we study macroeconomics? You know that macroeconomics deals with whole units of the economy. Macro deals with totality. Macro deals with aggregates. The economic well-being of consumers, rich or poor, is affected by the movement in interest rates, exchange rates, inflation, etc. Because if interest rate increases, then consumer will save more and consume less. If exchange rate increases, it means if exchange rate increases, in that case our currency's value will depreciate and our products will become more cheaper and demand will increase. If inflation is less, then demand will increase. So all these things affects the whole consumer's demand, not only individuals' demand. So this concept is related with macroeconomics. So economic well-being of the consumers, how consumer will become rich and how consumer will become poor, it is affected by the movement of interest rate, exchange rate, and inflation. Business tends to gain or lose considerable amount of money when their economic environment changes, regardless of how well they are managed. Sometimes whole businesses suffer from losses. So if only one firm bear losses, then whole economy will not be affected by that. But if all businessmen suffer losses and not gaining any profit, then the whole economy will went in the situation of depression. So this is the concepts which we study in macroeconomics. And with the help of macroeconomics, we can know about the whole economy's activities and whole economy, how it works. We can know about all these things. Next is why study macroeconomics? There are some major concepts. Due to these concepts, if we want to know about all these things, then we must have to understand macroeconomics. Because in macroeconomics, we study about money, the functions of money, and how interest rate is determined, and how monetary policy works, and it affects the whole investment level of the economy? Are you concerned to learn how budget deficit and inflation will affect in future? Are you curious to know why it is sometimes hard to find a job? Why are some people rich and others poor? Why foreign countries like Japan and Korea can produce goods and services so much cheaply than America and other countries? Why countries like Russia and China are moving from planned to a market economy? Are you curious about to know about the global marketplace, how it works? If you know about all these things, then you must have to understand the concept of macroeconomics. You must have to know about that macroeconomics deals with all these things. In macroeconomics, we study about money. In macroeconomics, we study about fiscal policy, which is made by the government. In macroeconomics, we study about monetary policy, which is made by Reserve Bank of India or Federal Reserve System of USA. And in macroeconomics, we study about the problem of unemployment, the problem of poverty, the problem of business cycles. Business cycles is a wave-like fluctuations which occurs from time to time, and the stages of business cycles are like boom, recession, depression, recovery. When whole business enterprises goes down, then economy will fall in situation of depression. And why some countries are producing more goods at cheaper price and others are producing less goods at higher prices? If you want to know about all these things which are studying about the totality or whole, that we can understand with the help of macroeconomics. That's why we must have to understand this macroeconomics, because through this macroeconomics, which is the main branch of economics, it deals with all these concerned topics, and with the help of these topics, we can know about our national income, our per capita income, overall living standard of the country people, the general theory of employment, the theory of employment, interest, and money, all these things we can understand with the help of this macroeconomics. Now, next is, now what is the difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics? As you know that micro deals with individual units of the economy and macro deals with whole units of the economy. So micro word, M-I-C-R-O. This micro word is derived from Greek word micros, M-I-K-R-O-S, which means small. So it is also called price theory. And macroeconomics word is derived from Greek word macros, M-A-K-R-O-S, which means large or big. It is also called theory of income and employment. Next difference is that microeconomics always deals with individual units of the economy, like individual buyer, individual seller, individual firm or an industry, and the price of single commodity. But macroeconomics studies about economy as a whole. Now next is objective. What is the main purpose or objective of microeconomics and macroeconomics? The main objective of microeconomics is to analyze the principles, problems, and policies for the achievement of the goal of optimum allocation of resources. How resources should allocate efficiently to solve all these central problems of the economy, like what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. These problems can be solved if resources are optimally allocated or distributed. And macroeconomics, the main objective of macroeconomics is to investigate the principles, problems, and policies related to the achievement of full employment and expansion with productive capacity. So macroeconomics deals with whole. That's why in macroeconomics the main purpose of study is to know about how we can achieve full employment, how government should make the policies to achieve this full employment. Because if all country people are employed, then the contribution of each and every person in GDP will rise, and production will rise, then employment opportunities will rise, income level will also rise, and overall living standard will rise, country will grow, and country will become more developed. And this is the main goal of whole economies. So macroeconomics, the main purpose of macroeconomics is to achieve full employment. Microeconomics deals with individual units. It deals with how consumers or producers make their decisions depending on their own given budget and their other variables. But macroeconomics deals with how different economic sectors such as household, farm sector, government sector, and rest of the world sector make their decisions. In whole world, there are mainly four sectors which perform important role in the economy. One is household sector. Second is farm sector. Household sector is the owner of all factors of production like land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. All factors of productions are owned by household sector. And second is farm sector, who produces goods and services with the help of factors of production. Third is government sector. Government also play very important role, and Keynes give importance to the role of government, and Keynes believe that government intervention is necessary for smoothly running all the economic activities. So government play very important role. Government impose taxes to collect revenues, and government spend this money for the welfare of the country people. And rest of the world, this sector is also very important because at present all the economies are open economies. No one is closed. All economies have relationship with rest of the world, and all countries do international trade. They mainly engaged in international trade like exports and imports for gaining advantages from comparative cost theory. So this is the main purpose of macroeconomics, and macroeconomics deals with all these four sectors: household, firm, government sector, and rest of the world, how they make their decisions to get maximum advantages. It deals with macroeconomics. Now next is method. Microeconomics method is that in microeconomics we study about partial equilibrium. Partial equilibrium, like if we are making equilibrium in case of a single market with the help of demand and supply curve, that is called partial equilibrium. So Marshall equilibrium theory is based on partial equilibrium. But the walrus equilibrium, if we simultaneously determine the equilibrium in all the markets at the same time, that is called macroeconomics. So the method of macroeconomics is general equilibrium. Equilibrium in all markets simultaneously of an economy. That is, so general equilibrium is the concept of which is given by Walrus. That is the part of macroeconomics. But partial equilibrium, which is given by Marshall, that is the main method of uh, microeconomics. So this is the basic difference between micro and macroeconomics. Now next is important issues in macroeconomics. What are the main issues which we study in macroeconomics? Macroeconomics is the study of the economy as a whole, which addresses many topics or many topical issues like why does the cost of living keep rising? Why are millions of people unemployed even when the economy is booming? When the economy is going on the path of development, then why people are unemployed? What are the main causes of recession? Can the government do anything to combat recession? Should it? So if we know the answer of all these questions, then these are the major issues of macroeconomics. So macroeconomics deals with all these concerned topics. That's why it play very important role in economics and we must have to understand macroeconomics. Now first is business cycle. This is the main issue of macroeconomics. Business cycle is the wave-like fluctuations which occur due to time when all the business firms are gaining profit. That situation will be known as boom situation. In boom situation, all firms will take benefits or all firms will get profits. When firms business fall down, then we will went in situation of recession. And this recession, if it is continuously going on, then depression period will start. After that, recovery will happen, and then again we will reach in situation of boom. So these situations comes after a time to time, different time to time period. It occurred during the time to time period, and the stage of one business cycle mainly exists in the economy near about 2 to 3 years. And these because we know that at present all the economies are dynamic, nothing is static in this world. So boom, recession, depression, recovery, these are the four stages of business cycles, which is explained by Schumpeter. Business cycle is the main concept and main issue of macroeconomics because if only one business enterprise's profits fall, it will not affect to the whole economy. But if all business firms profit will go down, economy will reach in situation of depression. So in totality, the fall in profits of all business firms will create the problem of depression. So this is the main issue of macroeconomics. And business cycles are wave-like fluctuations which occur during time to time. Now next is major issues of what are the major macroeconomic issues? In macroeconomics, we study about unemployment and employment. You know that the origin of macroeconomics, uh, when this macroeconomics introduced, macroeconomics introduced at that time when economies was suffering from the problem of unemployment. So unemployment is the main issue of macroeconomics. Next is inflation. Inflation means continuous or persistent rise in price level. When price level increases continuously or persistently for the long time period, then inflation problem will occur. And this issue is also related to macroeconomics because if a single commodity price increases, that will not affect overall consumption pattern of the consumers. But if all commodities price rises, then definitely it will affect the all consumers demand pattern. Next is stagflation and deflation. Deflation is the situation when price falls continuously, and stagflation is a situation when inflation and unemployment both go together. Next is business cycle. Business cycle is a wave-like fluctuation which has four stages: boom, recession, depression, and recovery. Next is economic growth. Economic growth is also the major issue of macroeconomics. Economic growth is a continuous process, is a long-run process in which national income and per capita income rises continuously. If national income and per capita income rises continuously for the longer time period, that is called economic growth. But economic growth is different from economic development because economic development is a very broader concept and economic growth is a narrow concept. Economic growth is related with developed countries and economic development concept is related with developing countries. In economic development, we include economic growth and some changes like technical changes, institutional changes, and structural changes. If these three changes included in economic growth, then it will be called economic development. But economic growth does not include all these three changes. It includes only two things. One is increase in national income and second is increase in per capita income. But economic development and growth is the major issue of macroeconomics. Now next is balance of payment. Balance of payment is also the major issue of macroeconomics. Balance of payment is a systematic record of economic transactions of exports and imports like visible items and invisible items. Goods, invisible item we include goods or in invisible item we include services which are in tangible nature. So if we are taking all the records of exports and imports of visible and invisible items of our trade, that is called balance of payment. And exchange rate is that rate at which we can convert one country's currency into another country's currency. So all these topics, all these issues are called macroeconomic issues because all deals with totality, all deals with aggregates. That's why these are the major macroeconomic issues. Now next is major issues in macroeconomics. If we want to raise the overall living standard of the country people, to raise living standard over time and economy must devote at least some fraction of its current output to increasing future output. Saving. Saving refers to the accumulation of funds that results when people in the economy spend less than their income during a given time period. That is called saving. In other words, saving is that part of our money income which is not spent on consumption. Saving is equals to Y minus C. Y is income and C is consumption. If consumption is deducted from income, then we can get saving. And saving encourage investment level. So saving fund investment. And what is investment? Investment refers to spending for the production and accumulation of capital and additions to inventories. Investment refers to the net increment in fixed capital assets like building, machines, plant, and equipments and inventories, etc. Next is some key issues in macroeconomics like inflation. As we have discussed about this inflation, that inflation is the rate of change of the general price level. And this is the major issue of macroeconomics. Unemployment. Unemployment means when people are willing to do work at the prevailing wage rate but not getting any job opportunities. That is called unemployment. So unemployment is a measure to the number of people looking for work but who are without jobs. And output or gross domestic product is the sum total of all the final goods and services which are produced in domestic territory of the economy during an accounting year. So output, it's a real gross national product which measures total income of an economy. It is closely related to the economy's total output. So all these things are key issues of macroeconomics. Now next is the importance of macroeconomics. What is the importance of macroeconomics? Macroeconomics play very important role in all over the world because macroeconomics, with the help of this branch of economics, we can get about the process of functioning of an economy, how economy works, and what are the main functions of the economy. We can understand the functions of an economy with the help of macroeconomics and how economy fluctuate. If whole business enterprises went down, then economy will reach in situation of depression. When whole business firms gain profits, then economy will reach in the situation of boom. So how economic fluctuations affect the economic activities? It also the major issue of macroeconomics. National income, which is the concept of total income of the country. So how national income is estimated and who estimate national income? All these things are the issues of macroeconomics. Economic development, performance of an economy, how economy perform, and what is the performance, how we can estimate the performance of an economy, what are the different variables um, which can give the accurate measure of estimation of performance of an economy. And study of macroeconomic variables like aggregate demand, aggregate supply, total saving, total investment, national income, theory of employment, balance of payment, foreign exchange, inflation, etc. All these are known as macroeconomic variables. And what is the level of employment? All these things we can get the knowledge about these things with the help of macroeconomics. That's why we study about macroeconomics. Now next is top 10 importance of studying macroeconomics. First of all, macroeconomics helps to understand the whole economy. Second is it helps to identify the functioning of an economy. It helps to the formulation of economic policies like monetary policy, fiscal policy, and population policy, employment policy, agriculture policy, industrial policies, all these policies which economy make, these policies can be formulated and we can understand about the different policies aspects with the help of macroeconomics. Fourth is it helps to understand macroeconomics. Fifth is it helps to understand and controlling economic fluctuations like boom, recession, depression economy. It can be controlled and it can be understood with the help of macroeconomics. Sixth is it helps to identify inflation and deflation situation, how inflation occurred and how deflation occurred and how these situations can be tackled. All these things we can know about uh, macroeconomics to study this macroeconomics. Seventh is it helps to study national income. With the help of macroeconomics, we can know about what is national income, what are the national income aggregates, and how national income is estimated, what are the various methods to calculate national income. All these things we will study in next sessions, like what is national income and how it can be estimated. And macroeconomics helps to study about economic development. It helps to identify the performance of an economy. It helps to identify nature of material welfare. So these are top 10 importance of studying macroeconomics. Now next is, this is the simple flow of income. Circular flow of income. Circular flow of income, we can study this circular flow of income in a two sector economy, in a three sector economy, in a four sector economy. So we know that in a whole world, there are mainly four sectors exist in the economy. Like one is household sector, second is farm sector. If we are taking only two sectors, then it will be known as two sector economy. If we are taking three sectors like household, farm, and government, then it will be called three sector economy. And if we take household sector, farm sector, government sector, and rest of the world, then it will be called four sector economy. So mainly economic sectors may be two, maybe three, maybe four. If we are discussing about only two sectors, then it will be called circular flow of income in a two sector economy. And how these two sectors perform in the economy? One is household sector. We know that household sector are the owner of means of production or factors of production. So first of all, household will provide all the factors of production like land, labor, capital, entrepreneur to the firm sector. And firm will produce goods and services with the help of these four factors of production and provide it to the household sector. So firm provides goods and services to the household sector, and household sector provide factors of production or means of production to the firm sector. And we know that at present barter system is not going on. At present all the transactions are made by money. So firm will pay the rewards of each and every factors of production. Like wages are is the reward for using labor. Wages and salaries are the reward of labor, and rent is the reward for using land. Interest is the reward for using capital, and profit is the reward for entrepreneurship. So firm will pay all the factors of production reward in form of rent, interest, wages, and profit. And household, when household sector will get income in terms of money, then household will also give payment for goods and services to the firm sector. So this is known as two sector economy, circular flow of income. And this is the four sector economy, circular flow of income. In fourth sector, we include all these four sectors like household sector, farm sector, third is government sector, fourth is rest of the world. First of all, household will same provide all the factors of production to the farm sector, and farm will give produce goods and services and provide it to the household sector. And government sector will impose taxes and collect taxes from household sector. Household will pay direct taxes to the government, and firm will pay indirect taxes like GST to the government. And government will provide transfer payments like gifts, grants, donations, scholarship, old age pension to the household sector. And government provides subsidies to the firm sector. And we can do exports and imports. So if firms import goods and services from rest of this world, then payment will go to the rest of the world. And if we export goods, then payment will received by the firm sector after exports. So in center there is a financial institution, because at present money play very important role in the economy. If household have more money, then they can save their money in banks and financial institutions, and this money will be converted into investment, and firm can take loans and borrowings from the financial institutions. Government can also take borrowings from the financial institution, and household can save their money in financial institution. So financial institution play very important role to generate multiple money. So this is known as circular flow of income in a fourth sector economy. Now next is macroeconomics versus microeconomics result. We know that micro and macro both are interrelated with each other, but there is some paradox between micro and macro. Microeconomics and macroeconomics both are connected, but both are contradictory, and there are some paradox between micro and macroeconomics. For example, an increase in the money supply. Individual receive more money. If individual receive more money, then person will become more richer. But according to the macroeconomics, everyone has more money. All prices rises. When everyone has more money, then price level will rise. And if price level will rise, then no one is richer. So if individual receive more money, then at micro level he will be known as richer person. But if we study about in totality, if everyone has more money, all prices rise, then no one is richer. So micro level increase in the supply of money affects individual person in a positive way. But increase in money supply will affect whole country people in a negative way. So there is a contradiction. So there is a paradox. Something is good in case of micro level, but that is bad at macro level. For example, paradox of thrift. Saving is good at micro level, but saving is not good at macro level. If one person save money, then his standard of living will rise. But if all country people save more money, then who will spend? You know that one person expenditure is another person income. If all country people save more money, then their consumption level will fall. When consumption will fall, then production will also fall. When production will fall, investment will fall, employment level will fall, income level will fall, and further saving will fall. So when saving will fall, then it means if all country people save more money, ultimately saving will fall. But if one person save more money, that is good for him or her. So at micro level, saving is good. But according to Keynes, at macro level, saving is bad. This is known as paradox of thrift. Paradox means saving is the against the arguments in favor and against of saving with the aspect of micro and macro level. Thrift is saving. So saving is good at micro level, but saving is bad for macro level. Same as we can give another example. If one person withdraw his money from bank, bank will not fail. But if all country people withdraw their money from banks at the same time, then bank will fail. So withdrawal money from bank by individual person is not bad. But if all country people withdraw their money from banks, then it will be bad for the economy. So at macro level, withdrawals are bad, but at micro level, withdrawals are not bad. So this is known as paradox between micro and macroeconomics. Now next is micro and macroeconomics compared. In brief, we can compare that microeconomics depends upon macroeconomic analysis and macroeconomics depends upon microeconomics analysis. Macroeconomics mainly deals with aggregates, totality, or whole units of the economy. So, knowledge of microeconomics is essential for macroeconomic analysis. And There is a difference between micro and macro is degree of aggregates. Their objectives are different. Methods of study is different. Assumptions are different. And we have discussed about the difference between micro and macro in detail. So this is the difference between micro and macro. Now next is stock and flow concept. Stock concept is related with point of time. So stock is a concept which is related with a point of time. Quantity of an economic variable, if it is measured at a particular point of time, that is called stock concept. It has no time dimensions. It is a static concept. Like national wealth is a stock concept. Water in a tank is a stock concept. Distance is a stock concept. Inventories, capital is a stock concept. But flow is a concept which is related with period of time. Period of time means like per day, per month, per week, per year, per hour, etc. So flow is a concept which is related with period of time. But stock is a concept which is related with point of time. And flow concept examples are like national income, because national income is estimated every year. National income is a flow concept. Water in a tap, change in inventories, change in capital, speed, and change in population. So all these things which is related with period of time, that is called flow concept. So stock is a concept which is related with point of time, and flow is a concept which is related with period of time. This is the basic difference between stock and flow. Now next is nominal GDP and real GDP. How GDP is calculated? Nominal GDP is that GDP which is estimated on the basis of current year prices, and real GDP is that GDP which is estimated on base year prices or constant year prices. So nominal GDP is the summation of C plus I plus G plus X minus M. C is consumption, I is investment, G is government expenditure or government spending, and X minus M is export minus import, which is known as net export. And nominal GDP is always estimated on the basis of current year prices. And real GDP is always estimated on the basis of base year price or constant year prices. And real GDP, the formula to calculate real GDP is nominal GDP divided by GDP deflator into 100. And how we can calculate growth rate? And real GDP growth rate is estimated by taking the difference between GDP at present year price minus GDP past year price divided by GDP past multiplied by 100. Next is short run and long run. What is the meaning of this concept? Short run is a time period which is known as a very short time period in which we don't have much time to change all the factors of production simultaneously. In short run, some factors remains constant. Only one factor is variable factor, which is labor. And if we want to increase the production level, then we can change only variable factor unit, not in fixed factor unit in short run. But in long run, we have too much time period, so all the factors of production can be changed in long run. This is the example of stock and flow. Water is coming from tap is flow, but water in glass is stock. Now next is types of economic models. We will discuss all these models like mathematical models, simulation models, visual models, empirical models, and static and dynamic model in detail in next sessions. Limitations of, we know that macroeconomics play a very important role, but there are some limitations of macroeconomics, that macroeconomics ignore individual. For example, macroeconomics, national saving is increased through increasing tax on consumption, which directly affects the consumer welfare. Now we can conclude from the today's session that macroeconomics pertains to the overall external and internal economic behavior and pattern of any economic state, which includes large scale of public and private sector growth, as well as the impact of recession and inflation on overall growth and development of any economy. Thank you.